The Army's TH-67 helicopter is a Bell Jet Ranger B-3. The TH-67 is a state-of-the-art single-engine helicopter used for instructing a new generation of Army aviators during Initial Entry Rotary Wing, or IERW, training at Fort Rucker, Alabama. There are two series of the TH-67 used in the Army today. The TH-67A's principal mission is primary flight training, and the TH-67A Plus is used primarily for instrument training for IERW students. Also known as the TH-67 Cree, it has a two-bladed main rotor and a two-bladed tail rotor system powered by a single gas turbine engine located aft of the rotor system. The fuel system consists of a single bladder, crash-worthy fuel cell located below and aft of the observer station. Maximum fuel capacity is 84.1 gallons of JP8 with 82.6 gallons of usable fuel. The Army designates this aircraft as a single-pilot aircraft. Under most circumstances, however, there will be a crew of three: one instructor pilot, one student pilot in the front crew station, and an observer in the passenger compartment. The pilot's compartment is called the crew station. When the terms right side and left side are used, assume the speaker is sitting in the crew station looking forward. Some common controls in the crew station are the collective, the cyclic, and the tail rotor pedals. The cabin is accessible through doors on both sides of the aircraft. In the event of an emergency, the crew station windows are made of acrylic plastic and can be easily broken or removed to access the crew station. That completes the orientation of the TH-67 Creek aircraft. Now we will discuss the emergency procedures. When an aircraft mishap occurs, all emergency rescue personnel must be prepared to safely handle the call. These personnel include firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and local law enforcement officers. They must know the proper safety precautions and personal protective measures to successfully rescue the crew, protect the surrounding community, and safeguard our environment. With advanced understanding of the critical components on each aircraft, first responders can ensure a quicker response while not endangering themselves or further endangering the pilots. No two accidents are ever the same. Weather, location, and aircraft conditions will vary, requiring a quick assessment at the site. For instance, the senior fire officer for this drill decided that 50 feet was sufficient distance from the aircraft to set up a staging area for the wounded. His assessment took into account not only the calm winds, but also the readily accessible roads and landing area for air evacuation. Bystanders and others not directly involved in rescue operations must be kept away from the immediate area. An aircraft crash can shatter the material into sharp, jagged particles. Fragments may be as small as a few microns wide and a fraction of an inch in length. Depending on the exact dimensions, these minute fibers can be inhaled and lodged in the nasal airways or the air passages in the lungs. Therefore, respiratory protection is required at all times. The fibers may irritate the eyes, so eye protection is needed. Because these fibers are extremely sharp, they can readily penetrate the skin. Longer fibers are very stiff and, when contacted, can pierce like surgical needles. When handling composites, emergency responders must always wear appropriate protective clothing and equipment to avoid possible injury. Inhalation of toxic fumes produced by burning composite materials can cause headaches, burning eyes, vomiting, or even worse. During a fire, these composite particles can also damage your lungs. If possible, firefighters should ensure that no one is downwind of the fire. If the engine of a TH-67 is still running when you, the emergency responder, arrive, you must use extreme caution. The main rotor blades can dip as low as 3 feet above ground level in gusty winds or on sloping terrain. Warning, in the event skids are spread on a crash landing, rotor droop will be even lower. In addition, always avoid the tail rotor area. The tail rotor blades are close to the ground and nearly invisible when running. They become increasingly visible only as the engine is shutting down. Note, the blades can still be spinning, even though they're contacting the ground and kicking up flying debris. When the emergency responder feels there is sufficient ground clearance to approach the aircraft safely, he will proceed to the crew station door. He should approach the front of the aircraft at a 45-degree angle and always keep the pilots in view. If the pilots are conscious, try to get a hand signal prior to approaching a running aircraft. Both crew station doors are equipped with windows and dual latch assemblies. Each cabin door has a flush-mounted exterior handle and operates in the same way. The doors open outward with a simple door handle located on the center aft exterior of each door. If the doors will not open, it may be necessary to break the plexiglass window in the door or the windscreen to get to the crew. By the TH-67 operator's manual, an emergency shutdown is done in 3 steps. However, for firefighter training purposes, we're demonstrating a 4-step emergency shutdown. First, shut off the engine by pressing and holding the idle release button located forward of the throttle on the right side pilot's collective and rotate the throttle toward the right side of the aircraft. Once you feel the throttle stop rotating, it will be in the off position. Second, place the fuel shutoff valve switch to the down position. The fuel valve switch is a 2-position toggle located under the red spring-loaded locking cover directly in front of the right side pilot on the lower portion of the instrument panel. Third, turn the battery switch to the off position. The battery switch is located in the overhead console on the front row and is a 2-position toggle switch labeled BAT and OFF. With firefighter gloves and hoods on, individual switches may be hard to single out, so push all the switches on the front row aft. The final step is to disconnect the battery, which is located in the nose compartment. The battery is under a plastic cover. If the cover is secured, release the 2 Zeus fasteners by applying downward pressure and rotating a half-turn counterclockwise, and then pull off the cover. Disconnect the battery by rotating the quick disconnect counterclockwise and pulling it away from the battery. Before attempting to extricate the pilots, first ensure the pilot's collective is moved out of the way. Without hydraulic pressure, the flight controls may be stiff, but they can be moved. To remove the pilot, first disconnect his helmet cord by pulling the sections of the connector apart. Do not remove the pilot's helmet unless absolutely necessary. The TH-67 is equipped with 3 crash-worthy seats. Each seat has a 5-point restraint system with lap belts, shoulder harnesses, crotch strap, inertia reel, and a single-point release mechanism. Remove the pilot's seat belt by rotating the knob in either direction. You may need to cut the seat belt if it's jammed. Remove each belt and set aside out of the way. During extraction, ensure the pilot's feet are free from tail-rotor pedals or from metal that may have been torn during the crash. Once the pilot's feet are clear, he can then be removed and taken to the staging area for medical attention. Emergency responders will determine the appropriate use of a neck brace and backboard on a case-by-case basis. Aviation crash rescue is a highly technical profession. The knowledge required to work effectively around aircraft in an emergency situation can be gained only through experience and hands-on training. While this video can never replace hands-on training, it's an excellent orientation for current Army aircraft systems and controls. This staged training exercise allows participants a valuable opportunity to enhance their skills. At the same time, supervisors can evaluate their agencies and better determine areas for additional training. This concludes the TH-67 crash rescue procedures. Points in review are: normal access is through the front crew station doors. All 4 doors cannot be jettisoned and are not power assisted. Flight controls can be moved without hydraulic assist, but will be stiff. The tail rotor and main rotor are very close to the ground. Total fuel capacity is 84.1 gallons of JP8. Personnel on board can range from 1 to 3.